Welcome to Jets This Week. I'm Gary Lawless. This is Ed Tait. Those guys behind us are the Winnipeg Jets. Ed, pretty much over now. The Winnipeg Jets are all but mathematically eliminated. They will not be a playoff team unless something very extraordinary happens. Basically, they have 12 games left. They'd have to almost run the table. I don't even know if 10-2 would get them in. It would be
40% chance. Last sports club stats had them, if they went 10-2, they'd only have a 40% chance.
And then what is if they run the table? 98%?
Yeah.
It goes up quite a bit. So
I never even looked at that, to be honest.
Small task. Yeah. Win 12 of the next games, including a 5-game road swing through Dallas, San Jose, Los Angeles, Anaheim, and Phoenix. Some pretty tough buildings to win in, and it will be interesting. So what to do with these next 12 games, Ed Tait? And I would suggest you right off the bat, let's find out what Al Montoya is. There's been a lot of talk over the last year and a half or season and a half about if Al Montoya's numbers are always better than Ondrej Pavelec, and some people say it's because it's a smaller sample size. Well, now is the chance. Run with him. Let him play 6, 7, 8 in a row and find out how he handles it.
Well, that's a great question, and it's something that I'd be very tempted to look at if I was the Jets management, because this is a guy who was a first-round draft pick a couple of years ago, has always had kind of a shine on his star, and then it's fallen off, and that's why he ended up in Winnipeg, someone that was trying to reclaim his career. Can he be a #1 goaltender? That's a question that hasn't been answered. In the last couple of years, he's had a lot of injuries. He's always been the #2 guy. But you're right, Gary, he's got good numbers now, but it's always been in spot starts or a game or two here in a row, but not a long stretch. And so this club needs to know, not only because they need to find out if he's the answer for #1, but because he's an unrestricted free agent this summer.
Now, the other side of the coin is Ondrej Pavelec, who was out on the ice earlier today, which is prior to Wednesday's game against the Colorado Avalanche, doing a little work with Wade Flaherty. Whether or not he's going to return, well, I doubt that he'd be back in tonight, and we'll see how that one develops. He's got a lower body injury. But what if Al Montoya is really good, or even if he's not? The Jets are at I'd say they're at a crossroads with Ondrej Pavelec. He is on contract, I think, for another 3 years after this season, and his pay will go up. I think he gets right around $4 million after this season. And the numbers, Ondrej Pavelec is the busiest goalie in the NHL, or among the busiest. He's played almost 3,000 minutes, and his save percentage is near the bottom, or is at the bottom amongst starting goaltenders in the NHL. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that go into that. The Jets also, they give up 30 shots a night, which is high in the National Hockey League. Puts them, in the bottom third of the league in terms of allowing shots, and goals against. They've got a pretty high number there as well. So is it Ondrej Pavelec? Is it the defense? Is it the team defense? There's a whole bunch of things that go into this, and the real thing is no one knows, and no one can give us a definitive answer.
Well, so here's what I would suggest this club's going to face, is that I think they need to bring Al Montoya back, regardless of what happens in these next 12 games. He's proven to be a real quality #2 guy.
He's an excellent #2.
Exactly. So bring him back, first of all. Second of all, I don't know what the market is for an Ondrej Pavelec as a trade. You mentioned all those numbers. There's all kinds of mitigating circumstances, but the numbers aren't very sexy if you're trying to sell them. So to me, those two guys are the guys that are going to be back here next year. I guess the question becomes the workload. And I wonder if Ondrej Pavelec's numbers don't get better with Paul Maurice in charge and with maybe less games. He's a workhorse, yes, but maybe instead of playing 65 games, it's got to be high 50s, low 50s, and you give Al Montoya more work. Maybe that's the best of this situation right now.
Well, let me play devil's advocate for a second. I see a lot of things about this Winnipeg Jets team that are very promising, and I think they have the potential to next year contend for a playoff spot. That's something I've never said before about the Jets. I didn't think so in year 1. I didn't think so in year 2. And before this season, I said they were not a playoff team, and they won't be. So what is it about, you say bring those two guys back, don't they have to get better in net to cross over?
Well, I guess what are their options going to be?
That
if you look at the
course.
free agent market this summer, there's going to be some guys out there.
Yarrow Halak comes to mind right off the bat.
Will they come here, first of all? That's always an issue with this team and this market. Can they outbid teams for a player like that? And then, you know, would a Jaro Halak come here if you still have an Al Montoya and an Ondrej Pavelec under contract? I think those guys want to come here knowing that they're going to be number one. So it's a trade.
Or a buyout. And, you know,
that's the other thing.
If you're going to buy out Ondrej Pavelec, you know, you have to, I guess you wait. So I guess, you know what, to me the answer is this. Pursue goaltending at free agency. And if you can get an improvement, get it. And if you can't, then yes, you go back with those other two guys. And if you can get Jaro Halak, for an example, well then you try and trade Ondrej Pavelec. And if you have no success trading him throughout the summer, then, you know, you make some decisions. You want to pay him $4 million to play in St. John's? Absolutely not. Well, you could buy him out as well. So there are options.
There's another one too.
Okay.
Option 2 would be keep the two of them.
Yep.
Lessen the workload, like I suggest,
Yes.
and then cross your fingers that someone in the organization, an Eric Comrie or a Connor Hellebuck or a Michael Hutchison, who's here now, develops and can push these guys too.
Well, Hellebuck and Comrie are guys that are what you call A prospects,
right,
and have the potential to be number one goalies in the NHL. Now, I don't want to sell Michael Hutchison short because he's already done a ton to get here. He's played in the East Coast Hockey League this year, starred in the American League, was very good for St. John's, and we'll see how he does in the playoffs. And now he's here in the NHL. But I don't think he's a number one.
He's a question mark.
Yeah. Hellebuck can come out of college. Comrie is going to be the goaltender for Team Canada in the World Juniors, so the future's bright. But next year, that's the big question for me, because I think this Jets team, if they can get better in net, is ready to make the next step. For Jets This Week, I'm Gary Lawless. This is Ed Tait. We got a few more weeks to go. We'll see you soon.